welcome to How to Be a Texan. How you doing?
You're wired, man.
Yes.
Why are you so wired?
Because we got a continuation episode.
Oh, my God.
And he finished his Diet Coke. So.
Heavily caffeinated. And anyway, so Kevin, you and I talked so much that we got to break something into two parts, right?
I guess so.
It's so much great content that we're going to break it up.
All right, so we're going to drop them in kind of somewhere randomly in the mix of that last...
because it's such great content. You got to hear it all.
I'm not going to edit any of it out.
Just let her rip.
All right. Let it rip.
Drop win.
Get her done. We will get her done.
Enjoy.
All right.
Sounds interesting to me.
As far as overall lifestyle changes, Kevin and I found 3 or 4 articles, and I'll admit they were not good.
I started reading the article. I was like, "This is crap, man."
Yeah. So it's interesting. We found one from Politico that was written right at the onset of the U.S. pandemic. So
This was written on March 19th.
Yeah. So the country shut down March 15th, March 16th of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And this was written 3 days later, and it was this very myopic, thought of, oh wow, we're really going to be have some foresight and think about what major changes are going to occur. And the more you and I've gone through this, a lot of it is.
Well, it is interesting to go back and read this from that time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and we talk about it like it was, 10 years ago.
It feels that way.
Yeah. Like February and March seem forever ago.
They do.
But it is interesting to read what people were writing then because, they were saying things. I think the phrase I used was naively optimistic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Talking about how there will be a decline in the political polarization,
Right.
So we're all going to come together. Well, I think we were all kind of hoping that at the time, but
it's just
now it's like you're either a masker or you're not a masker.
Well, no,
it's just like
it's a den of snakes.
It's polarizing over different things now.
That's right. And going into the presidential contest this fall, it's just a den of snakes, in my opinion. And I'm not political at all, as you know.
Well, the other one that jumped out to me on here that was naively optimistic was it says a return to faith and serious experts.
Oh, yeah.
And for years, people have been, skeptical about experts, but now we're going to return to science and all this stuff. And it's kind of like, no, people found a way to politicize that.
Yeah,
too.
we did for a while. I think we were all glued to the TVs or whatever when we were watching Dr. Fauci, for example, at the beginning. We're like, oh, well, he's the expert. He's going to tell us how this is going to flow.
He is the expert, yeah.
And I think people have politicized all of his responses too.
Right.
And I think he's been pretty consistent throughout this. Is like, this is going to be bad.
Yeah, it's going to be bad, and we're going to figure things out on the fly.
Yeah.
Right? Well, it's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think another thing that has been kind of hard for people to swallow is like, I can't remember which podcast, but they were talking about this exact topic, and they were saying like, this is how science has always been. It's always been like, like this might be like an answer, this might be an answer, but in this case, they're just doing it all out in the open, whereas normally they're not doing it out in the open.
Right.
And so now it seems like, well, I don't know what to believe. Like you say one thing, and then you say another thing, but like that's just a scientific process.
And
That's right.
They're truly figuring it out.
Right.
Hopefully.
Right.
There's one observation in this Politico thing that I thought was good. The very first one, the personal becomes dangerous. I thought that was interesting, and I still think that probably holds. You remember after 9/11 how, we kind of looked at people differently, like, are you a threat or not? Mm-hmm. And I remember I flew, 3 weeks after was my first flight post that, and I remember looking at people differently, like, are you a threat to me and on my country? Now it's a different thing where this article is saying the personal becomes dangerous. Like my personal interaction, my getting closer than 6 feet within you. If you sneeze on me, are you a threat to me? And I've never thought about that. But I've thought about, okay, kids sneezing on me and going into kindergarten or something. Yeah, they're going to get me sick. But I don't really think twice about it. I'm like, oh, wash my hands, I'm good. Don't let them sneeze in my face.
Right.
Now it's like this COVID-19 is in the ether. It's in the air everywhere. Right. And if I get too close to another human,
it's weird.
They can get me.
It's weird. And also, I've found like watching older TV shows where you see a crowded room of people, I have this reaction of like, oh, that's weird.
Or like you see someone shake hands or like give someone a hug.
Oh yeah.
That weirds me out.
Yeah.
No, I had to go to an orthopod the other day for my bad knees, and I shook his hand, and he offered first, and we both looked at each other like
okay,
that was weird. Can I go wash my hands immediately?
It's like,
But I
it's
felt
like, all right, let's never speak of this.
That's
again.
that's very awkward right
Yeah.
now, because you just kind of do it, but then sometimes you don't want to make the other person. You don't want to be like the judgmental person either,
Yeah.
right? So if somebody extends their hand, you don't. At least I don't want to be like, oh, well, I'm not. I'm not going to shake your hand. I don't
Yeah.
want to be like that.
No.
But at the same time, it's kind of like,
touching death. Yeah, yeah.
right.
Well, but then so you and I have talked about the handshake and the importance, as a Texan, the importance of a handshake and the importance of a Texas man. In my opinion, it's a very big thing. And actually, take that back. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If you're a Texan, you've generally got a strong handshake. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Right.
And it's a big deal to our culture, but this has changed that.
Yeah, it's changing it.
So like now you're getting these fist bumps and these elbow bumps and I've seen people kick each other, and it's just so stupid. It just looks so dumb.
The elbow thing is one that I've done quite a bit. That one works pretty well. It's just kind of like boom.
Yeah, and that's weird.
That started happening early on.
Maybe the butt bump, do some of that.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like the pelvic thrust into each
Get
other.
your butt juice all over somebody else. That's disgusting, man.
I'm just saying. I'm just giving you options.
juice.
Butt juice.
What is coming out of your rear end, man?
That's not good.
You know this. You know who we're talking about.
That's
Definitely
not
butt
good.
juice.
So
issues
anyway,
over there.
that gets within my 6 foot, COVID bubble, and I'm not okay with it.
I will give you credit. You almost nailed it. You invented the socially distanced handshake way before. But the problem is the hands are still touching. Yeah, but the straight arm, because if you put both of our arms together, we're probably at least 6 feet apart.
Almost
right?
6, almost 6.
So that's the perfect, but you're still touching hands. So I guess if you put a glove on and then do your straight arm handshake.
Maybe if I put that, if I'm going in on a cow to bring a calf out, one of those big long gloves
big
all
long
the
gloves.
way up.
Yeah, that's what you should do. Like if somebody extends their hand, you should say, "Okay, hold on a second," and pull out this long,
My calving glove,
the long glove.
lube it up.
Yeah, okay, I'm ready to shake your hand.
Well, I've always thought, what if we just carried around like retractable like sticks, and then you can just kind of like
Oh yeah, touch that, and then
touch the sticks,
and then
and then it'll kind of go back and you can put it in your pocket or something.
microwave the stick or something after. I don't know.
Oh man.
So anyway, so the rest of this, the decline of polarization, a lot of this is terrible.
It was good. It was good thinking at the time.
It was. So I'm gonna turn the page on that because I think it was terrible. Bottom line is, in looking at articles, if you're a researcher, you should do this right now and go write a research paper on permanent changes as a result of COVID, because so far the research is terrible out there. But there's another one that talks about Gen Z and the millennials and the dramatic changes it's going to have on them.
I'm so tired of that. I'm tired of hearing articles talk about this generation, that generation. Gen Z.
We really need to care about what the millennials think. No, we don't.
They're grown up now.
I was listening.
Man up.
I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about how kids in high school during this time are going to raise their kids in like the same way that like Depression era people raise their kids,
because they're going to be very
they're going to be all like, they're going to be really just like hard on their kids. Like their kids will complain about something. It's like, oh really? Like you can't go hang out with your friends? I couldn't hug my mom for 3 years. So get over it.
That's
I'm sure I would use that. Yeah, definitely use that.
That's strong.
That's a good one.
Yeah. No, I don't know. So there's one article that talks about, all the generational stuff, and I didn't even go into it because it seemed like crap too. So I will say, so why don't we get back to our observations?
Right, because everything on the internet's crap, so we need to tell the people what they really should be thinking.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
agree with
better
you on
if
that.
you and I just tell them.
Yeah.
That's easier.
Well, this one other article that we didn't quite hit was the retail article, but that was
Well,
kind of crap too.
It was
right?
crap. Even though there's massive changes to retail, and I think they got it wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm not a retail expert. I'm a healthcare guy.
And what were they saying in the article, that they thought it was going to come back, but just in a different
Yeah.
kind of way?
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's like, expect to see floor arrows in the supermarket forever for the rest of your life and plexiglass, right? But
Yeah.
your theory is, hey, there's enough other options out there like Instacart and other things that the old-fashioned corner grocery store may just fade away.
Yeah, like they're talking about, oh, wow, the square footage needs to be bigger and cash is going to be at risk and there's not enough wiggle room between aisles. And I'm like, you're not thinking big enough. These are paradigm shifting, radical things that have just happened. And your little small mind is worried about, I need 2 extra square feet in the aisle so that I get socially distanced from you in my cart.
Right.
I think that's so small-minded.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
So
Wait, what month was that article?
it was yesterday.
It was June.
Oh, it was yesterday.
just kidding. I just made that.
That was June 17th.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, Marlene Kennedy, for calling you small-minded.
Oh,
but,
wow. You're calling people out now.
well, I'm saying it's her article.
Nobody would have known.
Oh, sorry,
you know?
sorry, Marlene. She's not from Texas. So that's okay.
So you could insult her if she's not from Texas.
I guess so. So anyway, so let's go back to our list. So you and I have 6 or 8 things that we think are kind of permanent lifestyle changes as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. Being a healthcare guy, let me talk about that first.
Go for it.
One of the things that I believe is a permanent change is telemedicine or telehealth. With Medicare, CMS has basically allowed reimbursement for that now because it hasn't been. So that's what's been poo-pooed, that nobody gets paid for it. So if you're not paid for it, you're not going to do it. So if I'm a doctor and I want to give you a telehealth visit, but I don't get paid for it, I'm not doing it. The only way I get paid is if you come into the office and we go through all the rigmarole and then I get paid. But now I get paid. I get you on FaceTime.
How many times are you going to say paid?
Paid.
Jeez.
So anyway, but it's so convenient, right? With your specialist or your primary care doc or whoever.
It is really awesome. We've used it several times.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
It is.
And the girls don't have to worry about being awkwardly,
Right.
in a doctor's office and all that stuff. It's just so much easier for them. And
Yeah.
it's easier for me.
Now there's some things
It's just
that,
so much better.
like I got my first GI and my colonoscopy this
Yeah.
year. On Super Bowl Sunday, I got that.
But
So-
they did it. Tell them like they shipped you the device and then you hooked it up to your laptop.
Zoom.
You hooked it up to a Zoom session, like a full moon on Zoom.
It was a drone.
Drone.
Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, no. A little bit further. No, it was not.
Like, Amy, come in here and help me out.
Pull this thing out of me.
I can't reach that far back around there.
So wrong. No, there are some things like heart surgery or colonoscopy. Those are things that are going to have to be
Of course.
physical.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that can be remote or at home or via biometrics. I mean, you know about all this stuff with all
Yeah.
the technology coming up.
Yeah.
But that, I think, Pandora's box is open on a lot of the healthcare stuff at home that I think people are going to cling to forever. And
I
it's going to
agree.
be even more.
I agree.
Yeah.
So much easier, more convenient.
Yeah. The other thing is we've talked about remote work. I think remote work and video meetings, we've talked about that quite a bit. So I believe that's a shift. We've had some of the biggest companies in the world that have said, we're remote forever now. I mean, forever.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, let's get through this pandemic and we'll figure it out. No, they're done.
And I think you were talking a little bit before the episode about just rethinking office space and real estate and the impact of the remote work on that. We've seen it with our company, like our little headquarters office in Palo Alto.
Yeah.
We're really seriously thinking about, do we really even need that? I mean, you need maybe some small little presence, but everybody's working, especially in Santa Clara County still, everybody's working remotely anyway. and you're just kind of burning cash to pay for a expensive office space that you don't really need.
So that goes back to that small-mindedness that I'm talking about, oh, well, I need extra couple of feet in the aisle so that I can get down my grocery store to not touch Ethel or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with retail and real estate. I think the pandemic has just shoved us, that Thelma and Louise thing, off the cliff of real estate. We're going to fundamentally rethink. There's some that's got to be there. Okay, there's a lot of things that we're going to need real estate for, but I think there's a big shift that's occurring. We're pivoting right now on that right now. And
well, like you were saying, though, the shift was happening, right? The shift with, the technology that's out there, working remote was starting to happen. It's even before the pandemic, it was very common to be
right,
on calls for most of the day, and half the people are doing it from a Starbucks or something like that,
right.
And you hear the espresso machine in the background, so that was already kind of happening.
Yeah, our dog's in the back. Nobody even thinks twice about it.
I think to your point, this just kind of like for the last few holdouts out there.
Yeah.
I think this is pushed them over the edge.
On the retail, we're seeing the demise of the malls. We're seeing the big Macy's and the Neiman Marcus, them going out for good. And they, even though they've been there 120, 140 years.
Malls have been dead for a while anyway, though.
Well, but not officially. Again, I think this was the full blast. I'm pushing you off the edge. And so I think we're going to see major shifts on that.
Yeah.
The other thing is around kind of, the use of Uber Eats or Instacart or delivered foods. I mean, to-go food.
DoorDash,
Yeah, getting pizzas to go has been around forever, but I think this is a whole new thing where I'm ordering my groceries online. And there was something that I invested in a long time. I lost money on it. It was a guy that started up Webvan. You remember that? And it was a online grocer.
Yeah.
It was literally 15, 20 years ago. And I thought...
Yeah, I remember there were several of those. There was one called Webvan. There was one, I think, called Peapod back then.
They were ahead of their time.
Yeah, they were.
And we didn't have the culture ready for that. They needed to go shop and look at the oranges and whatever. Now people are like, no, come on, bring it to me. So I'm going online. I'm going to order my stuff. Somebody else is going to go get it for me and bring it to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's here to stay.
Yep, I agree.
We saw a big. Now I don't know if this is going to stick or not, but we've seen a lot of people shift the way they spend money. Mm-hmm. Like, this discretionary funds. Now people have saved more over this past 6 months than they ever have.
Oh yeah.
Because they're like, I need to hunker down and go into this kind of pre-depression mode of like, what if it really gets bad? Then I need to be ready. Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of it. I think also just, this has shown areas where, you can be much more efficient, right?
Yeah.
Rather than... not even by choice, right? I would much rather have flown somewhere and done a big vacation as opposed to just a simple little trip. But at the end of the day,
you still had fun with your family.
Save money, So I think I don't know how, I'm not saying it very well, but I just think as a byproduct of this, kind of the budgets have, been affected, right? Because you just don't have the opportunity to spend things that you could.
No, that's right.
So it's just easy just to throw that. Let's go stockpile that up. And save it up somewhere.
All right, the onlineness. I think that's been around. Like we talked about, the younger generations are online already. You and I have gotten there. Now the baby boomers have.
You mean as far as in your personal life, using devices and
just
phones
being
and stuff
online
like that?
versus in person?
Yeah.
I think this is. Again, one of those tipping points that has shifted us to online-ness. Mm-hmm. Like, one of the articles was talking about the baby boomers. This has shifted them into this, like as opposed to like our moms and dads would never have gotten on a device and done anything. Now they're like, I'm not going to the store. I'm going to figure it out.
Right.
So I think that's a shift. Contactless everything, as far as touching doors to get open or like the handshakes or the exchanges or the cash or whatever, I think that is something that we're going to see a major pivot on. Just people are going to know, pandemic or not, the fear of the spread of germs is there. It's real, and therefore I want to be contactless as possible.
Your theory holds true for the cash also, I think, right? Because even before pandemic, we saw much more use of Venmo. We were using Venmo. I was even using Venmo with my horse farrier,
Right.
believe it or not, even before the pandemic.
Oh, you told me about that.
So Venmo was there, and then we had ditched the cash. I was telling you right before the episode, we had ditched the cash, maybe about a year ago, because we had the Cash App and the little Visa card for that, and so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think this is definitely accelerating that too. I don't understand the. I don't understand the shortage of coins and
don't
all
get
that
that either.
crap that's going on.
Where'd they all go?
That seems manufactured, but
I put all of my money into Bitcoin now.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I don't do that.
I was
You're
about
really
to say,
annoying.
man,
Gotta hold on. Give me a second. Let me access my Bitcoin wallet just for a cup of coffee.
Well, I will tell you. I read there's a book called Digital Gold. It's really. Have you read that?
No.
It's over the history of Bitcoin.
you've been trying
How-
to get me to read this for about 5 years.
Well,
I
it's
still
actually-
haven't read it.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
I apologize.
I watched some. There were some really good. If you want it a little bit more bite sized, there's like a. It's kind of like a YouTube series about like the origin of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. It's like 3 20-minute long videos.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
No,
They talk
it's-
about like the cypherpunks and stuff.
Oh wow,
It's
cool stuff.
fascinating. But I don't know that we've pivoted. The pandemic has not shifted us toward Bitcoin. I don't think.
I bought
think so either.
$20 worth of Bitcoin and it's $18 now. So I've lost $2 thanks to
There you go.
Bitcoin.
No, that's good. Well, you're braver than me. I still have 0. A couple other things on this. I do think, and again, this kind of nerdy healthcare guy, but I think the supply chain is going to be regionalized now, where we're not going to rely so heavily on Chinese imports.
The Chinese virus.
Thanks, Kyle. Way to go.
That was Trump. But anyway, but what we found, and it was pretty, it was pretty dark, everything that we've heard about, that China knew it was coming. They basically fortified up. They took everything out, and then they're like, I don't care about y'all. I'm going to take care of myself first. And then we were just left hanging. And so I think that regionalization of the supply chain has become much more important now that we have stockpiles regionally that we can get to PPE and things of that nature. So I think
I
that's
will build a great, great wall.
or a great, yeah.
Keep out that Chinese stuff.
Yeah.
But there is the conspiracy theory that it was intentional. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
We could do an episode on conspiracy theories. We should do
yeah.
that. We've
Yeah.
never done that.
No, I agree. And I'm not, I've got all kinds of dark theories about where the virus came from regardless, so I won't get into that. But
The Chinese virus.
yeah, the Chinese.
Kung flu.
But yeah, no,
Sounds like he's singing it. He's singing.
Kung flu.
Kung flu.
but I think we're just kind of scratching the tip of the iceberg on a lot of these permanent changes as a result of the pandemic. It's to be determined, but I think there's a lot of things that are going to come out of this once this season is over that we're going to see major changes that we're like, oh, wow, I didn't do it that way before. Now I do it that way.
What are they? I've always heard it takes 6 weeks to change or create a habit. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
So I definitely have noticed that, after completely changing a routine for this many months,
Right.
I can't, it's hard to remember what it was like before, really.
No, that's right.
You
That's
know?
right.
Because we were always, I was always out of the house a lot.
Yeah.
Whether it was, running to the store, running to Academy to pick up stuff,
Right.
Hey, Kendra, let's go out to eat.
Right.
And
Now it's not
I
that
just don't
way.
do that anymore.
No.
Yeah. I still run to get stuff to, grill or whatever, but it's
Well,
just not, just not like that
But if you
anymore.
go, it's strategic and well thought
It's
out.
strategic.
now.
Yeah. It's very
Because
surgical.
You're like, do I need a mask? How long am I going to be in the store? Exactly what I'm going to get. I'm not just going to go and meander
Yeah.
or hang out like I used to.
Well, one
It's
thing
just
I've been
different.
taking advantage of, which I really like, is like not just for restaurants, but for stores doing curbside delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got like a laptop charger from Best Buy. I just bought it online, and then they sent me an email whenever it was ready, and I just parked in the spot, and they brought it out.
That's
to me.
awesome.
I did it with Guitar Center the other day. I didn't want to like spend time trying to figure out what 1/4-inch cables I needed. I was like, oh, I'll just get a couple of Fender ones from the website. Just went up there, boom, brought
Picked
it
it
up
up.
to me. Yeah, and
So
I was
I-
gone
and I
in
think-
like 10 minutes.
And I think that's kind of that's always been the downside to the web-based retail, right? Amazon or something. You got to wait for it, right?
Yeah.
But with this, it's the best of both worlds. I can go online, I can shop. If I need something immediately, put it in there, drive up there, bring it to your car, and you move on. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
But the risk reward is the reason why Amazon's making literally billions of dollars now is the risk reward of me thinking I can wait. My Prime membership, I can wait till tomorrow to get that cord.
Yeah. For
And
most
I-
things
and
you
that-
can.
And that way I don't have to interact with a Best Buy goober that might give me the
Yeah.
COVID through his whatever.
I heard.
exactly right.
And thank you for using their official titles.
Goober.
Best Buy
Yeah,
Goober.
That's, that's
No, they
their,
got
that's
like
their
the-
team member name.
They've got
is
like the
Goober.
nerd.
It used to
the
be
Nerd
Geek
Patrol.
Squad.
Geek Squad. Yeah.
Nerd Patrol.
It was something like that.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Geek Squad.
Yeah. So.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, hey, that's probably enough for today. So more to come on Pandemic Talk. But any closing thoughts?
This was fun. It's good to be back in the podcast business.
It's big business.
Yeah, we talked the whole time about doing it on Zoom and just never pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been quite the same.
Nah.
So yeah, this is fun.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, we appreciate you guys listening. You guys take care.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Look us up on iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Google Play. We're all over the place now. In fact, the other
Are
day
y'all
I
on
just
Spotify yet?
yeah, we're on Spotify.
Yeah, do Spotify because I think Spotify is going to be the next big thing for podcasting.
Oh, yeah?
It's going to go over iTunes. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
wow.
Just because of like the Joe Rogan deal.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. He
Yeah.
did a mega deal.
Yeah,
What size was that deal again?
1
it was
billion.
it
was
was
big.
a lot.
It
Yeah.
was big.
Yeah, so we're on Spotify. We've been out there for a while. In fact, I yelled at Alexa the other day to play our podcast, and she pulled it right up.
Yeah.
iHeartRadio. That's
heard
pretty
that.
cool. I was like, wow, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, well, look us up. Leave us a review. Adios.
Adios.